welcome to Let Me Know How It Is, a pop culture podcast about animation, TV, movies, comics, and all things geek. Well, another year is gone. No, I'm not talking about New Year's. It's San Diego Comic-Con time. That's what we're talking about today. We're doing all of our reactions from the big one. 2024 San Diego Comic-Con. I'm Zach Slater.
I'm Frank Melman.
And I'm Clifton.
All right. Happy Comic-Con, guys.
Yeah. Woo.
Yay. None of us went this year.
No.
I miss it terribly.
Yeah.
But a lot of cool stuff nonetheless. What do you guys want to start with? Let's jump right in.
Was there any comics news? Anybody excited about any comics?
I forget they have comics at this thing sometimes.
Right? It's one of those. Yeah, it's in the title, but it's not always something it's not always the biggest announcements.
Well, okay, like you had put something in the in our group chat offline as we were like, shooting stuff to each other back and forth, for those 4 days of like, did you see this? Did you see that?
Right.
For Justice League Unlimited?
Yes. With Mark Waid and Dan Mora.
Yeah, let's get it. So it's a comic book,
yes.
Correct? Titled Justice League Unlimited.
Right.
Which is one of our favorite superhero cartoons, but we had a little trouble, at least initially when it was dropped. We were like, wait a minute, so is this just the name of the book? Or is this does this have to do with the cartoon?
Right. It's some kind of backdoor pilot for the show that ties into the comic or something. Right. But no, it looks like it's spinning out of the event Absolute Power that's going on, I think, right now at DC. Mark Waid basically's got a lineup for Justice League, and I guess there hasn't been a Justice League since Dark Crisis in 2022, which is kind of a long time, to have the world or the universe, the DC universe, not having one.
Right.
So, Waid and Dan Moore are putting together guys that have been working on, was it World's Finest?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be doing Justice League. It's an interesting lineup. I mean, everyone comes on and wants to do their version of Justice League. So it's Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Captain Atom, Black Lightning, and Star Sapphire.
Okay.
Which, I have faith in Mark Waid. I have faith in Dan Moore. I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining, good-looking book. But again, I think it all spins out of Waid's Absolute Power overarching thing that they're doing right now. So
it's not a bad lineup. Not a bad lineup at all. Martian Manhunter's back. Nice to see him get some love.
Sure.
He was away too long, I feel like. Sapphire is an interesting take, right? You fill the Green Lantern role with not a Green Lantern, That's kind of cool. That's thinking outside of the box. I dig that.
Yeah. She's part of the spectrum, so of lantern or ringed people. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't really know. And like I said, I haven't kept up with Absolute Power. I have to read it at some point, but I'm not. I understand the basic premise, but beyond that, I don't really know what's going on with that. They did announce. They've been announcing. There's been a lot of rumors about what they were going to do with their kind of Absolute line. Has anyone read anything about that or heard anything about that?
Mm-mm.
I saw the headline about it.
Right. That they're doing basically. It sounds kind of like Marvel's Ultimate line.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have both the Absolute and the main DC universe running concurrently. I know, like Scott Snyder is doing Batman and Jason Aaron is doing Superman. I think it was announced at San Diego that they were going to have Jeff Lemire do the Flash.
Okay.
An Absolute Flash. No one really knows whether it's Barry Allen or whether it's Wally West at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. Was that when I sent that? The other thing was with what's his name? David. I can never pronounce his last name. From Suicide Squad, the actor David Dastmalchian.
Oh, Dastmalchian.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. He's doing an Absolute, I believe, Creature Commandos.
Oh, he's writing it?
I thought he was.
Okay.
I'll look that up real quick to make sure that we got the information right.
He was also in Ant-Man.
Right.
All three. I think he was actually in all three. He's one of the few in all three.
But yeah, he's supposed to be doing that book, I believe, for DC, which is interesting. We'll talk more about that why that's interesting in a minute. But
well, really quick, back to Justice League Unlimited. Yes, I love Dan Mora.
Right.
Love his stuff, and so I guess they like working together a lot because they were going pretty strong on World's Finest for. Has it been 2 years?
At least. Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty great. They're just a cool team up. They're a great team together, and I love, it's been a while, but I love having Wade back in DC.
Sure, it's always good.
Feels like home. Feels like he's at home again. You know what I mean? Nothing against. I mean, he did some great stuff at Marvel. Nothing against that, and I know he loves those characters as well too. But
right,
like he's always a DC guy for me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I did come across one blurb about Justice League Unlimited that does make me feel a connection to the title.
Okay.
In this, the throwback to the cartoon in this, and it was where apparently during the panel announcement, Mark Waid was asking fans to say who their favorite DC hero is, and whoever they said, he replied, "They're on the team." Like, literally, whoever they answered with, he would say they're on the team.
So it's one of those. Okay.
And then he says big missions, big stories, small stories, and the Watchtower is basically home to every superhero on Earth. So it's the feel for sure of the Justice League Unlimited cartoon it was for that universe.
Okay. So maybe that's what it'll be. It'll be very much a kind of comic book version of that, where you've got the one of the edicts for that show is what we always had: Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman in an episode with heroes we don't have a bigger knowledge of.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless it was a big end of the year storyline or something, or a big wrap up to a storyline, then you had all three of them. So that's cool. I'm fine with that. That sounds like fun.
I mean, it's been around forever. The show has been off the air for a long, long, long time, but
20 years
off the air for almost 20 years.
Yeah, but it's like in saying that, it's like that hasn't been part of the books. That hasn't been a thing in the books. Is that like that's sort of like no, everybody's on the team.
Right. It's a giant clubhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a little bit with Justice League Task Force a million years ago in the 90s, and then it's kind of like that As We Need You, almost Secret Defenders-ish.
Right.
I'll put together a team to go take care of whatever we need to take care of, which again sounds like a lot of fun.
Okay. Any other comic news?
Let me see. There was something from Marvel that I thought was kind of interesting. Oh, they're doing this thing, a story arc, but it has to do with what's going on with what's the blood ties or bloodlines. The Marvel's big summer crossover deal, where basically the world is overran. Oh, blood hunt? I don't know.
Blood hunt. Yes.
Blood hunt. There we go. Blood simple. It's something with blood and vampires, and they're taking over the world of the Marvel universe in New York and New York, of course. But out of that, there's a pretty big spoiler for today as we record this. So I don't want to get into it, just because in case you haven't read issue 5 that came out today, it's pretty big. But Joe Kelly is coming back to write Amazing Spider-Man for a story arc called 8 Deaths of Spider-Man.
Okay.
Where Spider-Man is granted extra lives, 8 of them, to serve a higher purpose. It sounds really weird. It sounds not very Spider-Man to me, but I like Joe Kelly as a writer, so I might check that out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They said there's Jerry Duggan and Danny Kim are doing a new West Coast Avengers. What's interesting about that team, it's Iron Man, War Machine, Firestar, and Spider-Woman, and Reformed Ultron.
I'm sure that's going to go great. That can't possibly go wrong. Somewhere along the way.
No friction on that team at all.
No, not in the least. So that was, again, I'm a huge West Coast Avengers fan. I prefer the original team, but I think I might check that out as well. And then there was also, which, we'll talk more about this name. There's a thing called One World Under Doom starting in 2025.
Okay.
That basically, again, I don't know in what capacity that Doom is Doom overall. But it looks like they're putting him front and center. Make that of it what you will.
Yep.
So
that sounds like that could have been a rush job in relation to something else we may get to.
Right. So that's the other thing that I thought was kind of, if you like the character and I like that character quite a bit, I was kind of interested in how that's going to shake out. They had an X-Men panel. They were getting ready after the Krakoan age of X-Men stuff. There's a bunch of brand new number 1s coming out. Gail Simone's writing an X-Men book regularly for the first time, which I'm excited for.
That's cool.
Yeah, should be doing Uncanny X-Men. Mark Russell is doing X Factor, which should be a lot of fun. Russell. Declan Shalvey is doing Mystique. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a bunch of new takes on a bunch of new X-Men books and characters.
Yeah, coming out of that Krakoan age.
Mm-hmm. So there's some good stuff.
Yeah, that's a cool X team.
Yeah,
of writers. I mean, yeah, I mean, but like all of those make my perk my ears up a little bit. Like, oh well, Gail Simone, that's a cool one. Mark Russell, that's a cool one.
Yeah, there's some good choices. They made some really good choices this time around for writers for X-Men stuff. So not that Hickman and everyone else that worked on all the Krakoan age stuff was bad. It just was, you get a lot of people that haven't written those particular books or that particular corner of the Marvel universe before, which is interesting. So a lot of fun stuff in the fall.
Yeah, exactly. This is just an instance of I just like those creative voices in particular, and I'm curious what they're gonna do with that team. I feel like there'd be fun to do team dynamic stuff.
Oh yeah. I'm sure there'll be a lot of really good character bits for sure.
And if I remember what I've heard, this is it's kind of a return to more simpler, straightforward X universe after the Krakoan age. So they're just getting a lot of people to come in, kind of reset and do what they want this time. Now that huge epic stories come to the conclusion.
Yeah, that thing was 700 issues or something, right?
It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was a big story.
Yeah.
So they're trying to keep it a little smaller. Each story a little smaller for the time being until it happens again in the lab.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit more accessible to new readers for a second, and then
right.
We'll
be enjoy your introductory issue.
Yeah.
Before we get into the 40 years or whatever continuity that we're going to talk about.
All right. Clifton, how about you? What's something you were looking forward to?
I'm going to jump to some toy news that I saw, and Frank has I'm sure a lot more toy news to share too.
One or two things.
But the one I'm jumping in on is the Marvel Legends released the prototype art, the mock-up art for the Rom the Space Knight Marvel Legends action figure.
What?
Coming
Seriously?
next year. Yes.
I had no idea. That was not a part of my notes at all. I didn't. Tommy was kind enough to. It was monitoring that panel. Was kind enough to shoot me a bunch of photos, and that was the one. He's like, "Look, it's Rom." And I'm like, "I know, it's Rom. It's excellent. Can't wait. I'm super excited for it."
So I believe that one's 2025 release, right?
Yeah, we're not going to get before the end of the year or anything, but it's glorious. It's so cool.
There's been a Romnaissance this year because they released the Romnibuses earlier in the year, 1 and 2 so far, right? With 3 to come.
Yeah, 2. There's been 2 so far. Yeah,
and that's after being dormant for about 30 to 40 years. Almost.
Yeah, lots of people wanted to use the character. I know that Bendis at one point when he was doing Avengers or New Avengers wanted to use him and was told flat out, no, you can't.
Yeah.
And then I know that in different iterations of Guardians 2 and 3, James Gunn had talked about, I would love to use Rom in the Space Knights, but we can't. So I think that honestly, the last time you got the character in anything, and people can correct me later if they want to, it's fine. I remember was when Rick Jones does get married in the Hulk way back when during Peter David's run.
Okay.
Rom does show up, and that might have been the last time that he was actually name checked as Rom, as opposed to there's Space Knights and there's one we don't talk about. So,
right.
But yeah, he looks like he stepped right out of the comic book. Looks really cool. I knew when Tommy and I had talked about it a bunch that when Chris Starr was made a Marvel Legends figure that surely they had to be working on getting Rom. And then of course the next one is with both the Renaissance going on this year. Does that mean we're going to get the other big omnibus they put out was for the toy license stuff was Micronauts.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not really sure who owns Micronauts or who owns the rights now, but
last I heard it was Hasbro.
Okay, well then people were saying, well, are we going to
that's who I thought it was, but
would that mean that we're going to get some kind of Micronauts type figures as well, whether it's like the Marvel licensed characters like Bug or some of the others, or Baron Karza, which is the actual toy, or Croy, or any of that stuff. So people are excited. I was very excited. I was trying not to make noise where I was when I saw the announcement of ROM. But yeah, it's great. It's very cool that they're finally getting around to doing that. So
is that it for toys, or was there more?
Oh no, there's more.
Frank's got more.
All right, go on. Because I actually have one too. Believe it or not.
So one that's up now. I don't know if it's sold out or not. That I don't know if Clifton saw this one. Was they did X-Men, the Marvel Sentinels, the smaller ones. They'd done a great big HasLab one.
Right.
It was, hundreds of bucks, and it came with extra figures once you unlock different tiers.
It's the size of a 3-year-old.
Yes, it was. It was. At the time, I think my daughter was about the same size of it. But this one is the smaller ones that you fight in the video game.
Okay.
It's a 2-pack. It's a 2-pack of the pink and purple ones from the video game. And people are speculating that while these are cool that you can buy them in a 2-pack now, they're on sale. They went on sale at, I think, at the show. Along with that is we're going to get versions of the characters, video game versions of the characters that are in the game. Everybody that's in it, Cyclops and Colossus and Nightcrawler, etc.
And Dazzler, the arcade game,
right? X-Men,
right?
That one as well. And this is one I don't know if you knew, Clifton. There's talk that we may, if they're not going to say that they're from the video game, they're going to give us Pride of the X-Men figures.
Oh, okay.
That's the other.
Yeah, they can pass them off as video game licensed if they don't have the actual Pride of the X-Men license, because they're the same designs.
Right. So that's the other talk, is that we might get those instead and say, yep, they're Wink, from the video game as opposed to from the Pride of the X-Men. But there's talk. It's all talk right now.
Okay.
Don't hate that. That's cool.
No. Yeah. They announced, what else did they announce? They announced we're getting a 2-pack of Crystal, because we don't have all the Inhumans yet.
Okay.
So it's Crystal, but it's not Crystal by herself. It's Crystal and Lockjaw.
Okay.
In a 2-pack, which I'm super excited about, because there was only the Marvel Select Lockjaw, and if you didn't get it when it was out, it's now a ridiculous amount to get that figure. Which I get, things you miss out, things go up. I get it. But yeah, that was really exciting. They're doing a retro Quicksilver, like in the green costume, from like the way back.
Right.
They're doing a Wong and Doctor Strange 2-pack, but you can also, it has a swappable head, so you can put Dormammu's head on Doctor Strange's costume, which is pretty sweet. And
these are comic design as opposed to MCU design.
Right. We have Wong from the MCU. Was Garrett Wong, right? That's the actor.
Benedict
Wong. I don't know who's Garrett Wong.
Garrett Wong is Benedict.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Then who's Garrett Wong? Garrett Wong's an actor too. Hold on, let me see. Garrett Wong was, I think he's on Star Trek. He was. Okay. So different guy. Anyhow, we're going to have a comic book Wong finally. In a 2-pack. And then they're also doing a 2-pack with the Punisher and Bushwhacker, which we have not had before.
Okay.
So these were some cool ones. What's that? There's one.
It did just strike me that both Doctor Strange leads are named Benedict. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird. But go on.
This was a nice reveal of stuff that no one was really expecting. I like Marvel Legends for most of their stuff, but every now and then they don't always make the best decisions. But all of these decisions I thought were great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff coming out, because a lot of I kind of slept on some of the recent lines where I was like, just nothing was grabbing me out of some of the recent Marvel Legends lines for about the past year or so. But yeah, this is a lot of really cool stuff.
Yep,
very cool.
Zach, you said you had something?
I did have something, but I don't have something that's like coming out. I geeked out for like the first time really, really hard on a San Diego exclusive.
Oh, okay.
Which was the Once a Man Cobra Commander.
I was going to say that was pretty great, right?
Yeah, that was pretty fantastic for the is that declassified?
No, declassified, yeah.
Declassified line. Yeah, so like they're like 6-inch, right?
No, it's not declassified. It's G.I. Joe. It's classified.
Oh, okay.
Just classified. Okay.
Just classified.
Right, yeah. Yeah, just classified, not declassified. But you're right, yeah, that's for that line, the 6-inch one. Yeah,
the 6-inch one. Anyway, no, it looks fantastic. It's awesome. He's got like, different heads you can swap on with like the helmet on and the helmet off and stuff like that. And it was just neat, like, like a toy that never happened when I was a kid, as far as I know. Like, and I always thought that would have been really, really awesome.
Right.
So,
yeah. I was saying, they released that there. You can pick it up there. I think it's going to be on Hasbro Pulse as well.
Okay.
That's where I'm hoping to pick it up, along with. And the other thing that I was going to say for Marvel Legends that they haven't they announced it and they had it for sale there. One of those San Diego exclusives was Death's Head.
Okay.
Which I thought was
the Marvel giant thing from like Marvel UK.
Yeah, we'll have to include it in the notes because they make it look like the Death's Head entry for the old trading card set. The box looks that way. It's really cool looking for a character that I thought. I mean, oddly enough, they did make a Death's Head 2 a while back for the Marvel Legends, but not Death's Head 1. And then they finally, I guess, decided someone's like, well, we got to have Death's Head 1.
Right.
It's cool. Like, if, for those that were desperately in need of a Death's Head figure, it's a great figure. So. But that was only like right now it was only available at San Diego. So
I haven't thought of Death's Head in years.
Right, I know it was surprising to me too. So, but like I said, we'll have to put in the notes. I'll send you a photo of it. It's quite cool.
Yeah. So, but for me, so I'm not buying this G.I. Joe classified series. Like I can't start it. I cannot let myself start it because it's so freaking awesome. But like I will spend a ton of time looking at pictures of these things online and stuff, just because I mean, they're like the sculpts are really, really great, and the accessories are like the detail that they put into these things where like every gun or knife like actually is like there's like a holster on the toy itself that holds them, for like every single one of the old ones that was just like molded there.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, all the guns have like clips and stuff like that and silencers that you could put on. Like it just blows me away. Like these things are so cool. But yeah, I'm not collecting and I won't collect also because they also announced like the Cobra Rattler. So like now so now they're doing like the vehicles and stuff like that, which is also like for G.I. Joe, which is my favorite toy line of all time. Like, I mean, like this is an endless supply of vehicles that they can get at too. And like, and the price point on these things is so high that I'm just like, no, okay. I absolutely cannot do this. Like, it's like $300 for that plane.
Yeah. They did the Hiss and they did the Dragonfly, which I did not end up. I didn't get either one of those. I like the Rattler. I think the Rattler's cool. It's another one where, depending on how many people like basically crowdfund it, which that's a whole other show I could talk about.
The HasLab.
Yeah, how much I don't like the idea of that. But anyway, depending on what you unlock, you'll get different figures, and there's like I think there's some around there doing 2 new figures along with the pilot. What's the pilot's name?
Wild Weasel.
That's it. Thank you.
Yep.
I knew if I said it, you would know. But yeah, Wild exactly. Weasel, and then a cool version of Baroness, and like another like a co-pilot.
Yeah.
They're great.
Wild Weasel without the helmet looks like Chris Evans.
Yeah, a little bit.
But the thing that gets me too is like it's all like kind of to scale. And so I'm going like, well, you got the Rattler coming out, so like the G.I. Joe's like G.I. Joe's got to have an answer. So like the Sky Striker is going to be coming pretty soon. Now I haven't heard that anywhere. That's my prediction. That's the G.I. Joe jet, which the 3 3/4 inch Sky Striker was enormous.
Oh, I know. Yeah, all these vehicles are huge. They don't mess around whatsoever. So,
yeah,
I'm just waiting for them to do a HasLab for the classified scale USS Flag aircraft carrier. It'll be the size of a single family home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's going to be huge.
I'm sure it's in the works. The other one I want to mention, it's kind of funny to me because it's not. It's obviously because they thought the MCU was going to go a different way. Is an exclusive Kang figure. Okay. But it's Kang on the floating hover chair.
Right, yeah. Which is nice. Like it's a cool design.
Oh, it's a beautiful figure. I can't wait to get it. I'm so excited for it. Yeah. But it did, obviously they thought things were going to be different. But with having said that, this is like what's great about this figure besides the floating hover chair thing is the fact that it has it's an army builder. Like I don't expect anyone's going to buy like 3 or 4 of these to do this, but they have put another Kang out recently, and the thing about it when it's got other faceplates, so you can make the Kang look like other members of the Council of Kangs.
Right.
So if you have earlier versions of Kang, you can basically put them together and have your own council, which they had not really done before. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea. But that's another one where, it's I just can't wait to get it. It's a really cool looking figure. So.
And it is comic Kang. It's not movie. It's not MCU Kang. It is comic rendition.
Right. But yeah, it's very nice. It looks really cool. So
that all sounds great. That's cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'll jump in. I'll start I'll start us going on animation here for a bit. So
okay.
Where should we start? Let's do Creature Commandos. Why not? Right?
Sure.
So finally got our trailer to Creature Commandos, the James Gunn written. I think the first thing we're getting from DCU, the new shared movie universe.
Right.
Depending on how Blue Beetle is counted, I'm not sure. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I'm already confused, but yeah. So no, I was excited to see this. I've been wanting to see to get a look of it for a while. What'd you guys think of it?
I thought it looked cool. I got excited. I thought the animation was nice. I like the voice work was good. I think the idea of if we're going to use these actors for voice acting and we're going to use it for live action, there should be some cohesion.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about it before, being a kid and watching something and like know that that's not the actor doing the voice and the person doing the voice is not very good. So it always took me out of it. But no, this is cool. I like the look of it. I thought the bits that we got were fun. I thought that the bit with G.I. Robot reminded me of Helper from the Venture Brothers.
Yeah.
Because it seemed very much that moment of Helper doing something very similar to that.
Right.
What'd you guys think?
No, it looks fun.
Mm-hmm.
We get Weasel back.
Yeah.
From Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
I was I'm gonna be honest, I was a little disappointed.
Really?
A little, okay. By what?
Yeah.
Why?
The first thing was like I'm gonna disagree with the visual style a little bit. I think to me I was really expecting something a little different than what we've seen. And I remember when the first like couple of stills of it, or not stills, first couple frames of it, I was like, oh, it looks like the Injustice movie that they put out.
Okay.
3 years back or something like that. Not a bad style, but it's I can't look at it and not think sort of like that Mortal Kombat like Sunday morning cartoon.
Really?
Yeah. It looks like a more detailed version of that, and I was I don't know, just something about like with the poster of it that we saw, like the cast shot that we saw. It's been out for like a year. I remember like that to me didn't look like the animation per se. It was just something about it. I was expecting a little bit more. And I'll be honest too, like nothing in this trailer surprised me. Nothing. This is like exactly what I thought the show was going to be. And that's what we're getting. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying this to poo-poo James Gunn, who I like a lot.
Right.
But he is becoming a kind of a Tarantino voice to me. And by that, I mean that like, he can't like not be what he is. Right. You know what I mean? Like when I think about like Grindhouse for Tarantino, I was like, oh, like his style, like doesn't, you can't hide behind something else. Like even aping something, it's him. Right. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like for James Gunn. I'm like, oh, like this is him.
Even with no, of course, even when Tarantino writes in a genre, it's still Tarantino.
Yeah.
That's why I felt like crazy. The Hateful Eight, like that kind of stuff. That movie, that's a Tarantino movie that happens to be set in the Old West.
Right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I get that too. I mean, it's one of those things. I think we talked about it before a long time ago with DeMatteis, was the idea of, hey man, I know your touchstones. I know I know your chords. Basically, I know the opening chords of something. I'm like, oh, I know who that is, even if I don't see your name attached to it. And I agree with you. It's nothing about the trailer surprised me. I wasn't surprised with what we got. Pretty much it was, the premise, it's just, granted, it's only, what was it, a minute and a half, 2 minutes maybe of whatever's supposed to be like 8 episodes, something like that.
Yeah, something episodes? Like 8 or 10, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, of something that's going to be 8 to 10 episodes. I was, I wasn't blown away. I wasn't blown away by it, but I also wasn't disappointed. I was like, I'm looking forward to this. I'm excited for it. I always like, I like obscure DC. I like obscure characters because, anything time I could learn more about those universes when I was a kid, I always like to learn more about that stuff. So, I'm excited for something that doesn't always get a lot of love.
Yeah.
Like the Creature Commandos, I'm more excited for that, and I'm also curious to see if it's going to plant seeds for the bigger picture.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I started off a little negative, and I knew that going in. That said, I want to say that like I am very much looking forward to it, and I think it does look fun. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna, it's gonna be like a first day watch for me when it drops.
Right.
And I'll echo what you're saying, Frank, too, that like it's just cool that these characters are getting some play, something that is gonna get, I think, like a wider amount of eyeballs than if the animation people just did it. Right. The animation people wouldn't get to do this.
We've got
James Gunn like didn't like say I want to do this. So I think that's cool, and I think that so that's where I feel like we're in good hands. Right. Like he has a love for like these like deep pull characters.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna say we've gotten them in like Brave and the Bold, and we got them in a short, right?
Yeah, mm-hmm. We got a showcase of them, and and they're in a Brave and the Bold episode in like a segment of an episode.
Right.
Yeah,
and I said earlier about David Das Macklin was writing. He's not writing an absolute book. He's actually writing Creature Commandos for DC.
Okay,
so that should be fun. I think that'll be probably a pretty good book. But, they'd like to keep them around. They every now and then they'll try to maybe tweak the idea or show them in a new light or just put them out in a new miniseries to basically have them out there. So I'm excited. Like I said, the main reason I'm just excited because it's Gunn. It should be written well. It should be a lot of fun. And again, I am really curious to see if they start to seed stuff with this.
Yeah.
Or is it just going to be a standalone thing and it's going to be kind of, it's just a piece of the puzzle, but it's not by any means starting like the actual starting gun for what they're trying to do for the whole arc.
Right.
So. Like is something gonna appear in this that's then gonna be big in the DC Universe movies after.
Right. Yep.
He has said that people that do the voices, he wants ideally to also for them to play them in live action if those characters show up.
Yep.
But then it's funny if you look at the voice cast.
Yeah.
And keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we have David Harbour as Frankenstein, who's Red Guardian in MCU.
Yeah. Sure. And Hellboy.
And Hellboy.
Yeah.
In one of the Hellboys.
Yes.
Frank Grillo too.
Yeah.
Frank Grillo's Flag.
Yeah.
Flag Senior, who was Crossbones also.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all right. Should we stick with some animation? Do you guys have any other animation on your list?
I did, but it's not so much a new series or anything. It was just something that was announced about the Batman.
Okay, go for it.
Just about a character, and I don't know if anyone's seen it, so I don't really want to throw it out there, especially if you haven't seen it, Zach.
Oh, I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There seemed to be a fair amount of controversy and kerfuffle over it. I know, but I'm just saying. So apparently they have basically given the penguin that we're getting for the Batman is not Oswald.
Right.
That we're getting Oswalda.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're getting a female version of the penguin, which
yes, a gender swap. So this is for Cape Crusader.
Crusader.
This is for the Bruce Timm Cape Crusader.
Oh yeah, you've seen the Batman. I'm sorry. You're right. It's the Cape Crusader. I'm sorry. But yeah, I thought that's an interesting take. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, so I mean, this finally confirms who Minnie Driver was playing, who was a name that we saw pretty early announced, was attached to it, and it was just sort of like her name was floating there, and it wasn't like she's playing this, she's playing that, and it wasn't like quite obvious either, right? Like I mean, because we knew Christina Ricci was playing Catwoman, so we knew it wasn't Catwoman, so we knew it wasn't like one of those big ones. Really? Oh, like what's going on?
I think we thought it might have been Nocturna at some point.
Yep, exactly. We thought it might have been Nocturna. So yeah, but now it's confirmed that she is the gender swapped penguin.
Okay.
Which sounds, like, I don't know that Oswaldo's a name. I didn't look it up.
People were
sure.
I saw some. So I saw some threads were like, it's absolutely a name. So I don't know.
Is it really?
As far as okay, but
yeah, I'm sure it's in a baby book somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I'm sure they looked at babynames.com and it popped up, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Then that's good. No, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with it.
Mm-hmm. So me too. I mean, I've there's plenty of mall characters, MOLL characters that there's no reason why it can't work.
Yeah.
So I'm
interesting to see it now knowing this. Let's just revisit really quick the Iceberg Lounge thing, because we reviewed the trailer in our previous episode for Cape Crusader, and Frank, you were gushing about the Iceberg Lounge being a yacht.
I love it. Such a cool idea. So, I love the idea of a possibly Rick's Lounge, Iceberg Lounge, from Rick's Lounge from Casablanca. That whole thing of being international waters, the idea of what you could do, with that idea, I think is really, really cool. So I mean, does this revelation, does this reveal, make you more excited, less excited, unchanged? I'm still the same idea. I just think it's going to be interesting to see, if we're going with, that Oswalda is the tough old bird that Oswald was. The idea of her mixing it up with Batman just gets amazingly. I'd like just the visuals going to be cool. So I'm excited for that. No, I have no issue with the idea of them gender swapping. It's just one of the things where people were, as usual, losing their minds over stupid stuff when it was announced. So.
Yeah, because they care about the penguin so much.
I know. Well,
right.
Well, they may after the fall. So.
Well, and as I said in our last episode, I've been saying it. Penguin's time is coming.
Yes,
it's coming.
Yes,
you got people putting some time into him finally.
Mm-hmm.
But so
I will point out that by the time this airs, Cape Crusader will be available to watch on Amazon Prime. So
that's right.
Go watch it.
And we haven't talked about this, but maybe we'll review the first couple of episodes. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe not. We'll see.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yes.
So but yes, I did see that too, and I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So, man, oh God, segue trouble here now. I'm just like, do we jump into the HBO Penguin now?
Yes.
Or do we circle back and finish off some animation stuff? Yeah, okay, let's do Penguin.
Right.
Let's do it. Okay, so as I was saying, Penguin's time is coming. He's got a show now. In addition to Tom King has been doing a Penguin miniseries all this time for like the last year, like a 12-issue series. Going back to Gotham, which is a show I don't care very, very much for, but Penguin was always sort of like one of the high notes of that show.
Yeah, that guy's
right. And hearing back of that show, everybody was like, no, the Penguin stuff is a high point.
Yeah, the actor who I can't remember who played. We need to look that up because he was fantastic. He was the best part of that show. Someone find it, but yeah, it was
Robin Lord Taylor.
Robin Lord Taylor was fantastic. That guy does not get enough accolades for as good as his performance was as Penguin. He was awesome,
right? On
a show that I didn't stick with.
And then to cap it off here, so here we are. So there's a Penguin show that's spinning off from the Batman, the Pattinson Batman, the Matt Reeves stuff,
right?
This is, I guess it's good that we're lumping these together. I'm curious, since Matt Reeves is also producing Cape Crusader, if that was a thing, like an idea by him that was pushed by him to sort of like distinguish that Penguin from the show.
Like a conscious choice was made.
Yeah, like a conscious choice. Like, let's not because I don't want to push sort of like the same buttons I am on that show. Let's do something else. Like let's kind of skew things a little differently for this for the cartoon.
Right.
I don't know that. I haven't read that anywhere. I was just curious because his name's on both of those things. But yeah. So what'd you guys think? So we got a new trailer that dropped. There was a news that the panel was evacuated.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that. Apparently, one of the kitchens, I think, for one of the hotels that's connected to the convention center had a fire.
Yeah, I did read that.
Yeah. so the fire alarm went off during that panel, but
it wasn't a poison umbrella accident.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So what are you guys thinking? So this is coming out pretty soon. This will be out in about 2 months.
I only just watched the trailer before we started recording.
Okay.
I was forcing myself not to, and I'm like, we're going to talk about it, so I better take a look. It looks fantastic. It looks so good. I don't know about anybody else's take, but I mean, not that I didn't like his performance in the Batman. I thought he was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
The longer shots, I like whatever the effect of the affect that he's giving himself to walk. The way he walks is great.
Yeah.
It's obviously from some sort of injury. It's not like it's not like, Burgess Meredith in the old 66 show, affecting the waddle.
Yeah.
Whatever Colin Farrell's doing, it's like chef's kiss. It's so good because it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and it also plays the character. It's great. No, it looks like it's going to be a really good, sort of crime mafia-esque type mini with the Penguin, which is great because I think a lot of times the Penguin, like you said, people don't want to put the time in with him, or they just want to treat him like a joke.
Yeah,
and I think it's a disservice to the character. But also the addition of what was it, Christine Milioti,
mm-hmm.
I first saw her on How I Met Your Mother, and then she was on FX's Fargo.
Okay,
and she was great on that, and she looks like she's going to be even better in this. Like the role that she's playing is just.
Is she Sophia?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's just wow. The stuff that they showed.
Oh, yeah, she was also in Palm Springs with Andy Samberg.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I know Tommy liked it and told me to watch it, but I have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
But overall, I like her quite a bit. I think she's a pretty good actress. So it's one of those things where.
So she's playing Sophia Falcone, the daughter of Carmine, who was the John Turturro character in the movie. Right. She's a character from the comic books.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, so the trailer that came out before this one, before the Comic-Con one, what I dig about it is sort of like, I like the sort of like, in my neighborhood where I grew up, like I like the way that I just like when Gotham is talked about in that sort of way sometimes.
Of course,
where it's like, okay, Penguin's born and raised in Gotham and grew up kind of in a rough neighborhood and I just like that helps give like history to the city and makes it feel like a place, which I think is cool.
What I like about that aspect of things is he has just, in his own mind, and as you said, being born and bred, he has it in his own mind, at least, he has a claim to the city. Like he thinks, I'm sure his thing is like, there's no reason why this can't all be mine.
Right.
I'm a native born son. Why can't I have all this?
Right.
And I like that. I think that's a cool take on the Penguin.
Yeah. I think but this trailer that came out is sort of the one that I think that tugs the most on comic booky stuff. A little bit. It's subtle. It's not that I think a lot of people can miss it if they don't know like the lore of things, but like the fact that Penguin's mom is in it is like I geeked out pretty hard about that.
Me too.
Right?
I did too. Yeah.
Frank and I, we've talked a lot about like the fact that like Penguin's mom is kind of like integral to aspects of the character that are iconic, like the umbrella and things like that. And so
depending on which version you're looking at, there's the Penguin's mother, Oswald's mom, plays a huge role in his development as a character and what happens to him and what eventually turns him into being the way he is.
Yeah, exactly. And so like whether or not they're leaning into all that stuff, I don't know. We may be getting aspects of it, little bits of it here and there with its own sort of additions thrown in. But if the movie's any judge, I mean, the Batman is maybe the most like comic geeky Batman movie that's come out as far as like Easter eggs and stuff like that, in my opinion, I think. So yeah, so seeing his mom was kind of cool. Like they refer to like the Hangman, which is neat, which is a Dark Victory nod as well, which is Dark Victory was the sequel to the Long Halloween. So after the Holiday Killer in Long Halloween, there's a Hangman who's the serial killer in the focus of that 13 issue maxi series that came out as a sequel. So that stuff is really, really cool. and for me, I think like Penguin works as a gangster.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm saying like the people, I think the first real contribution to it was the Iceberg Lounge, to bring that up again. I think that once people made him sort of like, oh, he's got this bar that he runs in the city.
Right.
And I think that was sort of like a window into a new avenue for the character. And I think that this just works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Iceberg Lounge to me was always what we talked about a bit of being like, yeah, he's kind of like, it's his hangout place. It's kind of like he's the thug, but he's also the information broker. Like he's a guy that knows stuff. And or there's like guns being ran out of it, or there's, people being smuggled in and out of it. It's all those sort of things. But I also think, and I don't know if I can't remember when we talked about this before. I think Tommy and I brought it up was they play him in the Arkham games as a much tougher, much more like he's Cockney in that one. He's much more of a rough and tumble character than he is sort of in the not in the comics, but like in some of the other stuff that we've seen him in, where he's basically like the origin of having the monocle is someone broke a bottle off basically in his face. It's really like it's severe stuff, but that's one of those where he's kind of this grisly, tough as nails character, and I think that's a lot of it's informing a lot of what we're going to get in this interpretation of the character too.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for. Like I said, I was fighting and watching it right before we started to record. And I went, "Wow, this looks good." Man, I'm excited for it now. So
yeah, no, I'm excited for it too. I think the only thing that we don't get in this, as far as I know, I mean, maybe it'll be a revelation, over the course of the show. The only thing with this Penguin that we did is we don't get a hyper refined Penguin.
No, we don't.
I think is also kind of a not a requirement, but I think it's an important part of the character. I think that it's the aspect, as Greg Rucka puts it, where like there's kind of a Bruce Wayne side of him, where like he almost like wants to be Bruce Wayne.
Well, yeah,
right? and has an entitlement to that world because in his mind he knows everything about that world and he fits. Right, and like he's a person that knows culture very, very well. Like he's somebody that could, I don't know anything about wine, but like he could tell you the difference between like a 46 Bordeaux and a 47 Bordeaux.
Right.
Like,
right. Well, I mean, it's one of those things of like, he believes he's like, I've always looked at it as like, he believes he's earned his spot at the table and he wants to get there without having his Eliza Doolittle moment.
Yeah.
Like his My Fair Lady moment of where he like learns the refinement that has to be done in order to get to those places. He's like, but I've arrived. I'm already there. Why do I need to do this? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's always what's always struck me about him is like, no, I've more than earned my spot at the table.
Yeah.
I don't have to be like the rest of you, but I certainly could be like the rest if I had to.
So that's always been my thing. Like he always to me was like almost if Frasier was a gangster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
But they're putting a lot more into like making him formidable, which I mean that character could use some help always in that department too. So
yeah,
no, I'm looking forward to it. Also, Frank, it sounds like you are too. Clifton, how about you?
I mean, it looks good. My question about it comes down to the world. So this takes place after The Batman,
right?
And The Batman left off with Gotham in a really bad place,
right?
Yeah, which I had suspected might be the setup for The Batman 2 whenever we get that. So that's my only thing. I was like, is Gotham still like flooded and cut off?
Right. Is it
in this? And is that like, maybe does that help him do what he's doing with unimpeded?
Yeah.
Because, they're kind of cut off from the world. So they're kind of on their own. I don't know. So that's I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see if the world's reset after The Batman, or if any of that still comes into play or lingers.
Yeah,
I'm curious about that.
My other thought with that was, is he taking advantage of the fact they're cut off, or is he's saying, look what I'm doing for Gotham while we're cut off?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, is he providing protection for people? Is he, is he like basically like, yeah, there are people that are bad, but there are definitely people that are worse, and I'm not the worst. That kind of thing. I don't know what level. Like, I don't know what level of Penguin we're getting, to be honest. So I'm curious about that too.
I've always thought a Batman shared universe would work in media.
Yeah.
Happy we're getting one finally, sort of. The other shows don't sound like they're happening, but anyway. All right, so let's circle around to some other stuff. What else was out there? What else did you guys see that caught your eye?
TV wise, or just what else?
TV, animation wise, whatever you got. I got two more cartoons. I'll jump in where I can, but yeah, I mean, what else do you guys have?
Most stuff that I had was like the movie stuff. So
okay, Clifton, how about you?
I'll go with a generic that kind of ties into what we've been talking about, but it's the new old DC Studios logo. I don't know where else this would fit in. So we were just talking about a DC show, Penguin. So I'll stick it in here.
That's a good point.
But James Gunn unveiled the new DC Studios logo, which is the old DC Comics logo that was originally designed by Milton Glaser or Glasser. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
But it was the, DC in the circle with the 4 stars, the bullet logo from when did that start? 70s?
70s, yeah.
Certainly through the 80s.
Yep.
Like much of the Bronze Age logo.
Yeah. Many a childhood memory of picking up those DC books with that logo on it. It was like, oh, welcome back, old friend.
Yeah.
It was really nice to see it.
Yeah, no. I was nice to see it too. That went into that. I mean, that went well into the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
And possibly all the way through the 90s, honestly. Yeah. I'm trying to remember when they did like the DC with the swirl, like the stars swirling around. It was the next one after it.
I'm going to just throw out a year. I want to say like 2006.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Could be. So yeah, it was the logo on DC Comics through James Gunn's and our childhoods into adolescence and early adults. So definitely nostalgia there.
Oh yeah.
But it is a fun design.
It's a cool design. I dig it. They did a My Adventures with Superman panel.
Okay.
Which was interesting because I mean at the time we're recording, I mean like the season 2 had just ended.
Right, literally just
like 2 weeks prior. Yeah. Like so they did a panel with not a whole lot. Like, basically they were like, we're making season 3. We have 1 episode that we recorded in the can already. Right. So, the voice actors have done their thing for 1 episode. And we're going to go back to do, I think another 2 after the convention ended, but there's no animation for anything back. There's, nothing like that. They didn't show anything other than 1 design for a character that's already been confirmed for season 3. And I think you guys are a little behind on the show.
Yeah, I am.
Clifton, you are too?
Slightly.
Okay. Well, this character doesn't appear in that in this season. I will say that. So it was news for all of us. I don't know if you guys saw who it was.
I did not. I haven't seen it yet. Nope.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, you can tell us.
Yeah, go ahead.
You sure? All right. Superboy.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the design is kind of nice because it's definitely like Death of Superman looking Superboy with the leather jacket and the round sunglasses and the fade.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Cool.
It's a beautiful looking design.
Okay.
Yeah. So there we go. My Adventures with Superman. Still love the show. Can't wait for season 3.
All right, very good.
And then I'm curious, Clifton, did you see Invincible Fight Girl?
No.
I'm actually not even quite sure if this was a thing that came out of Comic-Con as much as maybe it was just a clip that dropped while Comic-Con was going on. I mean, that does seem to be kind of like a thing where people, I think, try and piggyback off of like the interest that Comic-Con will create. But Invincible Fight Girl was one of those HBO Max shows, Cartoon Network shows that got canned. That looks like it's actually happening now. It's happening on Adult Swim.
Okay.
So they just put a clip out. So we don't know a whole lot about the show, but it's just like, like for me, if you're a fan of like wrestling, if you're a fan of like fighting games, if you're a fan of like anime style fights, I think the show is going to be for us.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Looks like it will be on Adult Swim and Max somehow.
Okay.
Until they delete it.
I'm looking at the art for it now, at least one image poster. I've not seen the trailer yet, but yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah. No, it's a cool clip, like I said, and I want to see more. I want to get more of a sense of what the story is and things like that. I'm curious, I love a good fight choreography, but I also don't know, like, you got to give me more than that. Right? For a show, I think you need more, but no, I think it looks really, really promising. And so I'm excited for it. So,
well, I found the description that just says the series follows Andy, a young girl who dreams of becoming the greatest pro wrestler of all time, assuming the wrestler alias of Fight Girl.
Yeah, we'll post the clip for you guys to check out too if you're interested. Yeah, I don't know that there's a date, but I think it's pretty soon. So, all right. Shall we hit movies?
Let's.
All right. Is there anything other than the really big news that came out of it that you want to hit?
Yes.
Let's get okay.
Let's
do that first, then, Frank. Let's hit that quick.
The only thing I want to mention is Thunderbolts has an asterisk.
Right, Thunderbolts asterisk. That's the title.
I can tell you why. I'm pretty sure I know why that is. Not from anything I saw at San Diego Comic-Con. Just more and more as I think about it. And I would think and rack my brain. Thunderbolts, when it first came out, was by Kurt Busiek and what's his name? The artist who did Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, Bagley. Mark Bagley.
Mark Bagley.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, the premise was the Avengers, Fantastic Four, were all gone as a result of Heroes. What was that? Heroes United, whatever it was.
Yeah,
some crossover.
It was after Onslaught, right?
That's
Heroes Reborn.
Onslaught. Yeah. So they're gone. There's no heroes. A new team arises. They're going to be basically fill in that void of heroes. They first appear in an Incredible Hulk issue, and then eventually they get their own series. Well, the first issue ends. They introduce all these heroes, and it turns out they're not heroes.
What?
Yeah, there's a big twist at the end that Kurt Busiek pulled off one of the long before people, the internet pulls off this twist, and it turns out no, they're villains. They're all villains. They're all villains pretending to be superheroes, and it's one of the best villains books ever made. It's up there with Suicide Squad. It's great. But and you basically see some of them are just trying to take advantage of the situation. Some of them are trying to grapple with the idea of could I actually be heroic? Could I actually churn and be a better person? And they're all headed up by Baron Zemo. Okay, so that's the comic book, and that goes on for a while. It's had a couple of different iterations. Like one I know Jeff Parker did. Luke Cage led the team as reformed. Obviously, the guy, Luke Cage's origin has him being in prison, and he gets experimented on, becomes Power Man, et cetera, et cetera. But he leads a team of reformed villains or villains on missions, like the Suicide Squad. Anyway, so we get to this current one. They have all the actors there on stage, and they've had this asterisk for a while. And I think what they're going to do is say it's Thunderbolts, and then the reveal is that is going to be our next Avengers movie. But it won't be an Avengers movie. It'll be Dark Avengers. I'm telling you here now, this is no inside information. I did not get to go to Comic-Con. I don't know anybody tied to the movie. It's just my feeling.
That's your feeling?
Yeah, that it's going to be Dark Avengers. And that's what's going to be the Avengers movie, since we're not getting one till 2026. They need something in the meantime just to get people to go to the movie theaters again. Not counting this last weekend. But that's what I think is an Avengers event. That's going to be like people are going, and that's going to be the thing. Is it's going to be Dark Avengers. That's all I got. Okay. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I love a villain's comic or a villain movie, Dirty Dozen type thing. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to that movie.
Yeah, that should be. I think it should be really good. But let's talk about the elephant, the giant, the 800-pound gorilla of San Diego Comic-Con. I put my kid to bed and went to check my phone of what did I miss? And got up and I went to see, and I was like, what is this? What was your guys' reaction to the idea of Robert Downey Jr. coming back to be Victor Von Doom?
I thought it was a joke.
Okay.
Okay. I just thought it was people messing with everyone, misinformation.
Okay. All right.
And I think I probably had that reaction when I first saw it, but then I was like, no, I'm like, I can see this happening now. I was like, Like I had a pretty quick acceptance of that headline when I read it.
Yeah.
And saw the picture with the mask and everything. Okay. I think I saw it pop up on Reddit first is where I saw it when I was browsing.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh.
I saw it very quick with the clip. And I was like, oh, I guess it's real.
Yeah. No, Tommy had also sent me a note, sent me a text like, did you see? And I was like, what? And then I went to see it and went, huh. And I've been for like the entire week.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to make of it. It's I'm very conflicted. The best thing I saw was like in one of the groups I'm in, someone had posted, I'm not really feeling it, but I'm here for it. Like, obviously, I'm not going to quit the MCU and be like, this is not my Dr. Doom or hashtag not my Dr. Doom, because that's just silly to do.
Right.
But I have a million questions. My brain has been like a hamster in a wheel on Adderall trying to figure out what storyline they're going to adapt to make this work.
Right.
I don't, other than the moment of having Tom Holland see that it's Mr. Stark, I don't really know why it's being done. That's my question. I mean, I know why it's being done because it'll get people to the theater and it'll make a lot of money. But beyond, like, like I said, from a storytelling standpoint, there's almost something that they got really lucky with Thanos. Is my whole thing. That we had, a tease here and a tease there of Thanos, and he was kind of a cipher, and then you could put whatever you wanted to on him in Infinity War, right?
Okay.
There wasn't much to contradict what we had seen before. There wasn't much to contradict what we'd seen before, right?
Right.
So when we got to that moment and they filled in the blanks as much as they needed to for the movie to get it up and running, it was all about the MacGuffin, right? Like, how is he going to collect this stone? And where's this stone going to be? And how is he going to do this? And then, oh, that's going to happen. And okay, and now it's, it's on, right? And then we have our wrap up, and then, people are stunned in the theater that's the way it ends. I don't really know that you can do that or should do that with a character like Dr. Doom. I kind of feel like that character has a little more meat to him. No offense to Jim Starlin. I just feel like as a character at Marvel, there's far more Dr. Doom stories than there are Thanos stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that you can't, I think you're selling the character short by being it, even with Robert Downey Jr., who's a great actor. He's a phenomenally good actor. Didn't he just win an Academy Award?
Yes, for Oppenheimer.
For Oppenheimer. For Barbenheimer. He won that. That was his thing. He was in both those movies, I think. But anyhow, my biggest thing is I wanted more of a setup. And again, the other thing about it is the fact that you have him for these two movies. They're paying him is it $40 million per or $40 million over the two? Does anyone know?
Oh, I thought it's like $80 million for the whole package or something.
Okay, so let's just say $40 million per,
which counts whatever else he's, wherever else he might pop up.
True, but it's also to me, it's a matter of if let's just say we get to Secret Wars, which they announced that they've gotten, it's no longer King Dynasty, it's Doomsday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say Secret Wars is where they finally say, hey, listen, here's our opportunity to recast characters that are no longer with us, as well as get younger people to play these parts, as well as to get cheaper people to play these parts. Why give us Doom when you have a myriad of characters you could choose throughout the Marvel Universe? Why make it Doom when you're just going to reboot and not have a guy that you have to pay $40 million per for whatever comes after? That's my question. Because that $40 million, say it's a $300-400 million movie, that's 10% of your budget.
Right.
Is spent on one actor in something that's going to be loaded with actors.
Yes, and effects. It's going to be a very effects-heavy movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that, first of all, undeniably, this was the nugget that I think won Comic-Con. For sure.
Sure.
For me, I mean, this is the, I think this is the one that just had, far-reaching, people not into stuff heard about it.
Well,
right?
I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, that was a bombshell there, and then I agree with you. It just reverberated out from there. And I don't think anyone's really. I mean, people talked about things here and there from Comic-Con, but everyone I can't escape the memes of him coming back to play Kang dressed up like Orpheus from Tropic Thunder. Those are all over the place. And then just the fact that you live long enough to be that whole, the quote from Dark Knight.
Right.
Dark Knight.
Yeah. The whole die a hero. Live long enough to be the villain. Those, I've seen that. If I've seen that once, I've seen it 18,000 times this week.
Wow. Okay. I actually haven't seen it yet, thankfully.
Yeah. No, it's on every other thing I see practically. Yeah. So I just don't think. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Clifton, what do you think? First,
it's definitely it was designed to be, and it is a what? Like that's exactly what it's supposed to be, and it is that. That is what they were going for. They wanted everyone to just be like, "What?" And everyone was. They succeeded there. It's not a safe choice as much as people like to say it's a safe choice.
Right.
If you say he's coming back as Iron Man, that's a safe choice.
Exactly.
This is not that. But at the same time, this is like so comic book. This is like the most comic book thing they've ever done. It's possibly.
It's almost the evil twin, isn't it?
Right.
It's Cobalt Blue. No offense to Mark Waid, who he showered with love earlier. It's Cobalt Blue. It's Barry Allen had a twin that he was born with that no one's spoken about in 60-some years, who's now back as a villain called Cobalt Blue. I love you, Mark Waid. I do, but come on, man. Even that was like it was super soap opera at the time. But right. This is like, again, and I've had people try to say, well, he's not playing a variant, he's playing Victor Von Doom. I'm like, no. That's not what's going on here. That can't be what it is.
Well, we don't know for sure what is going on. We don't know if they're paying him $80 million to never take off a mask and just be there. We don't know for sure yet. We can certainly speculate that you probably wouldn't pay him $80 million to not take off a mask.
Right.
It's possible though. It's possible.
But I will say this. This is what I was thinking for it. It's exciting. It's also completely unsuspected. I think nobody had Robert Downey Jr. in their bingo cards.
No.
Right, because he unfriended everyone from the MCU like 5 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah,
no one saw him coming back.
In their fantasy casting of Doom, nobody had Robert Downey Jr.
No.
Right? No. On top of also, like, nobody thought he was going to do it. And nobody even was saying, like, it'd be great, Robert Downey. He was also, like, in nobody's dream casting for it either. Right. So there's that. He is a gifted enough performer that I think the performance will hide the fact that it's him. Right?
Okay.
I think, especially if he's under a mask the whole time, which is something I was explaining to my wife because she was like, "How's that going to work?" I'm like, "Well, in the comics, like he's like you never see his face, really ever."
Right? No, you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to. And so I'm like, so if he's behind the mask, and they do some some voice modification stuff to make him sound a little different and everything, I think the mannerisms and his choices as a performer, it will not come off as Stark. Now, if it is a variant of Stark, if that's what we're saying, then of course I'm in, but I think that's a mistake.
Absolutely. For sure.
But And I'll draw people's attention, though, to the fact that he's doing this show currently called The Sympathizer, where he's playing a bunch of different characters. So it appears to, I think, maybe be just a point where he's in his career where I think he's getting off on the fact that, like, let me play a whole bunch of different people and let me see how I can make them distinct.
Right. So this is his Clump's era.
This is, yeah, exactly. This is his, Eddie Murphy and Coming to America.
Right.
Right. I'm going to play 5 people.
Or Orphan Black.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a better one.
And so,
a better choice.
But yeah, I hope it's Victor Von Doom and not a variant of Stark. That's my thing.
Yeah, it is. I did wonder, like, how much Kang is still there.
Well, it's funny that you say that.
Yeah, like, I mean, because we know it's no longer the Kang dynasty, but like, how much of that script is still there, but not Kang, is what I wonder.
Right. Well, I thought about that too, because I flipped through the original. I was flipping through the other day, the original Secret Wars, the one with Shooter and Mike Zeck. And there's a point. Kang's in that. Kang is in Secret Wars.
Right.
Doom,
like the original
one, yeah, the one from the 80s, the original one, not the Hickman one. But Kang is in it. Kang is part of that villains group because they just basically threw everyone that they could into the villains group and heroes group. At some point, I don't know, I can't remember if it's the entire book or not, Doom has some kind of hold over the Ultron that is there.
Okay.
And Kang starts to balk at something Doom says, and he just turns to Ultron and says, "Kill Kang," and he does. Now, and again, which Kang that was, your guess is, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know, but again, I mean, are we going to have that moment of Doom usurping Kang's plan? Is that what's going to be? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I just feel like it's a weird, like, but the other thing about it is introducing Doom. If you build Doom over time, Doom can have some victories, right?
Right.
Right. If basically say they had started when they knew that there was a moment of like, oh, I don't know about Jonathan Majors anymore. And they started to see Doom then and let him have a victory here and a victory there. Smaller. Like, granted, I know that they're Slate, but let's be honest. They've got Disney Plus and other places they could have done stuff. When they get to the point of those two movies, Doom has to lose. That's my other thing about it. From a storytelling standpoint, you're setting up this arguably one of Marvel's best villains to lose, to possibly be replaced after Secret Wars, and then that's the real one. That's what I feel like we're going to get, and I don't want that. Yeah. Like you said, for me, it needs to be, no, he's Victor Von Doom, and he is Victor Von Doom until he gets tired of playing it. Because I feel like it's these two movies, and then, we'll have a credits roll, and then it'll be a tribute to him and whoever else wants to get out at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. And nobody knows. I mean, that's
I know.
I was saying that how much Kang is there? Like, I feel like they might have just copied Doom's name over Kang a few times in the script.
Someone's gonna have a script that's not corrected. Right. They're gonna say Kang at the wrong point,
like Suicide Squad.
right.
Like we said in our Suicide Squad review, where it was like Bloodsport is clearly Deadshot, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like, it was clearly they clearly took Deadshot's name off of the script and put Bloodsport in, and we're done. Here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, no. I get what you're saying. That's something I hadn't considered. Yeah, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Another thought I have on it. It's just funny to see Robert Downey kind of like the conversation about Robert Downey go 100% full circle. To like, I've seen people allude to the Heath Ledger casting as Joker and be like, oh, like, this is like Marvel had the chance to bring somebody in like that, like, we didn't know their potential yet, and like Heath Ledger and Joker, because Frank and I worked comic shops, and Zach was certainly around the comic shop at the time. We knew those conversations all too well of like people were not happy with that. But at the same time, people also said the same stuff about Robert Downey in Iron Man. He was not a popular choice in 2006 when he got cast. Like, that was hated every bit as much as Heath Ledger was cast as Joker. And it's just funny to me now that everyone's like he was so successful, Robert Downey, that they can't even remember that moment. And now we're here again, where everyone's doubting him. Everyone's doubting Robert Downey Jr. Not everyone. I mean, it's probably a split decision, I think, on the people that are excited about it versus the people that are like, I don't know about this. It is probably split, where it was much more back then. Like, everybody doubted Robert Downey because he was coming off of troubles that he was, luckily, fortunately able to overcome and turn around from outside of work. But most of his work, his film work at the time, had been independent stuff for about a decade before that before he took on Iron Man. He had started coming back because you got Tropic Thunder same year.
Mm-hmm.
A few things, but no, it's just funny to me that now, like, he became such a sure thing that people like can't even imagine when he wasn't, and now he's back to people are like, I don't know if he can do this. And that's to say, like, whatever it is they give us, I think he's going to pull it off. I'm betting on him to pull it off again. Whatever it is, I'm like, I'll put money down on that. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think for a moment that it won't do well and that people won't go see it. I am just, like I said, I just feel like I've been beating that drum of that Noah Hawley Doom script forever, that I wanted to be a thing, and now I'm like, we're never going to get that. Whatever it was.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that it wasn't as good as Legion, which was awesome by him, but at the same time, I don't know. If anyone has that script and want to send it to me, please send it to me. I'd love to read it. And then just weep over the fact that it's not going to be made.
Yeah.
Again, it's not a question of his ability. It's not a question of notoriety, because obviously, but that's the other thing when I was saying another thing about Thanos is, like, Doom has, like, people know Dr. Doom, I feel like that's a character that if you don't get right, people are going to be like, wait a minute, you didn't get this right. Where Thanos, I'm like, Thanos, he's pretty one note in his goals. Whereas Doom is like, tried to steal the power cosmic. He's trying to take on the Beyonder. He wants to get that accursed Richards. He's got a lot of things going on. He wants to make sure that Latveria is taken care of. I mean, there's more to him than just, I need to get the Infinity Gems or stones. I feel like the margin of error for the character is a lot more than there was for Thanos.
Right.
And I don't think Marvel's looking at it that way. I think Tom and I were talking about it again. I know he's come up a lot in this episode, but Tom and I were talking about it. His whole thing was they just seem to want to trade off the names, both Robert Downey and Dr. Doom, without putting in the work. Again, I could be completely wrong. I could be completely wrong. But it's another thing. What it feels like is, you say Dr. Doom to Marvel fans and they go crazy because they know what they think they're going to get.
I will say I can't shake the feeling also that it does, on some level, to me, feel a bit like a panicky decision.
A little bit, yeah.
Right. That was a thing, because I mean that's there is a having to figure out what they're gonna do after the Kang stuff looked like it wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
It wasn't gonna be able to come to be, and also just like MCU is at kind of a down period right now, where I'm not saying like in any dig in the quality of things or anything like that, but it's like I think they're at a point where like sort of interest is waning on a couple of people, and it may not have been, they may not have had like their strongest projects in the last couple of years.
People are spoiled. That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but I do think, but there is a moment like, where I think it's like, how are we going to get people like back engaged and excited again and everything? Right. And that seemed to be, not saying it was, but it feels like that was part of the decision making to me.
Sure. I mean, it doesn't hurt that they've got the Russo brothers back. They can tell a story, obviously, as well as Stephen McFeely. That guy writes good MCU stuff. So again, the pieces are there. I just, like I said, my main concern is how are they going to butcher Doom in order to get this done in 2 movies? And I wish they had more time. That's all.
Got a big pop though. Oof.
Oh, it did. Oh no, it definitely, broke the internet, if you want to say they use that tired phrase. It did.
Yeah. We'll post the video of the reveal from Hall H as well. If you guys haven't seen it, if you want to check it out.
Yep.
All right. So be sure to check out letmeknowhowitis.com, where we were going to post links and examples to everything we talk about in this episode. You can also find all of our past episodes listed there as well. Be sure to find us on social media, and however you're listening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please leave us a review. It does help, and we will see you guys next time. Have a good one.